thought I'd do a little process video of me pre-painting a Greta Gremlin foam latex prosthetic. This one did have some slight damage into the lip, so I've tried to fix that. But I'm pre-painting it for someone who wants to wear it for a TV show, so I'm excited to see their footage. So at the minute it's got prosthetic adhesive mixed with water as an all over base, as a kind of prep base. I've put some cling film over the head cast, similar head cast that it was sculpted on. And I've also got some yellow acrylic paint mixed with some prosthetic and a bit of water. And I'm using some cheap disposable brushes. I think you can get these from the Range and Wilko's. So we're starting with the yellow area first. So obviously it's good to refer to any reference pictures. But I love process kind of videos, so I thought I'd just do this one today because I've not done a special effects something in a while. Although I will have more soon, I am sure about it. So you can buy pre-made packed paints, which are better quality than what I've mixed now. But as I'm layering up some alcohol paints over, I find that this homemade kind of packed paint works just as well. So it is a little bit translucent in some areas. Don't think you can see because it looks quite vibrant on the camera. But what I'll do is I'll let this dry and then I'll go in and do another layer. But what I'll do, rather than just sit waiting for that, I'll do the green, and by the time I've done the green I'll come back and the yellow should be done. Should be dry for me to layer up. I'm just going to check my reference picture as well, just to make sure I've put enough yellow in the right place. And I've noticed, looking at my reference picture, the yellow goes onto the nose as well. I did have some printouts somewhere, but I've kind of misplaced them after the last time I'd done Greta. I didn't think I'd be pre-painting one in a while. And obviously I've decided to use my phone for recording now, so I'll have to just keep stopping it and going back to my image on the web browser. I kind of remember most of it, but I want it to be as accurate as possible to the pictures online. So that is the yellow for now. So I'm going to go to my green, and this is same brand as this one but a green one, and put it in a plot. So sometimes I'll get spray paints and aerosols and all sorts of lids. I save the lids because they're brilliant just for mixing colours. And I did pre-decant some prosthetic adhesive for a different occasion, so I'm just going to use that up. And I try and do about 50-50 of adhesive to the paint, or probably a good third of prosthetic, just if I want to be a bit stingy with the prosthetic. It still adheres absolutely fine, but then you'll start to learn how you want to do your mix anyway. It's personal preference. So I'm just going to add a little bit more in from another bit I had ready. So again, using the cheap brush from the Wilko set, Everywhere else is green now. It does have horns on these, so I am going to try and avoid doing the horns. And ideally, this should be thin layers of this. It's okay to build it up. I'll blend in with the yellow soon. I'm not going to worry about that just yet. At the moment, it's purely blocking out the colours and then worrying about the detail later. As I'm coming up to the edge of the prosthetic, where it's still attached to the outer edge, like all this excess material, I'm going to leave a little bit of an edge, because we don't want to thicken up those edges, which, because obviously it's got prosthetic and the acrylic, it can make a, you know, it start layering up, but we don't want to ruin the nice edges for the person to apply, so I'm going to avoid the edges, and then that also gives the person time to colour match it when they're applying. Gives them that kind of little area to help blend into their prosthetic and their skin. In a minute I am going to blend these edges together, I think, before the yellow and the green dries. Might as well get a nice blend of those two tones together before it sets. So I'm just adding both colours back and forth. This is a background colour though, so it will be layered up with more colours on top, so it hasn't still got to be perfect to this stage, but it does help later down the line if it is blended at this stage. Like that, it keeps picking up some of the green where I don't want it, but it's easily layered up. We don't want it too thick either, we don't want this to crack, so we do need to work in good thin layers where possible. And obviously you don't want to load it up too thick, else it will take longer to dry. Just buffing over some of the areas. So what I'm doing now is I'm making sure I'm going in all the nooks and crannies. I'm making sure the deepest areas have this dark green shade, and that's because I'll be layering up lighter shades on top soon to bring out the reptile kind of shapes and things like that. So I want this as the darker green background kind of shade. So I don't want to be leaving any white areas where it should be this dark green. I could always obviously go in later with the finer detail brush and over with the airbrush as well. Because as this PAX paint starts to set up, you have got to be careful to keep layering it, 'cause you don't want to lift it off. So that's where we're at the minute. Let me have a look. I think is one side more blended than the other? Yes, it is. Is that the side I was thinking? Right, I've decided that that's pigmented enough for me. So I'm going to go in now with some alcohol-based airbrush, and I'm going to re-intensify the yellow and make a nice blend. And then I might do the green, I'm not sure yet. I will at some point, I just don't know whether it'll be straight after or not. I'll just see how I feel as I go along. So this is a yellow haze from Dashbo. This is helping layer up any colour, and it will help to blend that yellow more over the green. Nice translucent washes. I might actually go in with the lighter green on the foam. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take those two previous colours and I'll get a spatula. I'm going to mix them two together. I'm going to take most of the yellow and add it to the green. But I'm going to leave a bit of yellow just in case I need some later to highlight. And then I'm going to hopefully get a nice brighter green, so we could try and start making this reptile texture be more 3D now. So this dark green is quite a dominant colour, it's still looking quite dark green. So I'm going to add in some lime green. Oh, don't tell me that's dried up. Let's see where this gets us. Sometimes with colouring it's just all about testing, playing, just to see what you get by mixing colours together. And this is going to be so much product now, I'm not going to need this much at all. I probably should have took away some of the green, some of the yellow into a side pot, and that way I wouldn't have wasted all the dark green. Have a look. Yeah, that is not vibrant enough at all. So got another clean pot, taking a little bit of that, and I'm actually going to go in more with the lime green. I might even add a little bit of fluorescent in there, because it is, the TV is going to be on stage, so it'd be nice to really get some bright colours under there, under the light. So it's looking a lot better now. I'm not worried about adding the prosthetic yet until I've got the colour I want. So yeah, that's definitely going to highlight on top of the reptile skin well. make sure it's all mixed, because I don't want to grab any and it be patchy with colour. I think if I look at that, I think it'll look really nice together. So I'll take some of my Prosthetic, if the lid's going to open for me this time. Yes, it is. Drizzle a little bit in. Trying to think the ratio compared to the paint. Make sure I've got a decent amount. Get it mixed in. I'm not going to add water. So when I get this colour laid down, then I will go in with airbrush over the green. So I'll start to blend out the darker green, and then I'll go in with the light green over this. So it's just about layering up the colours at the moment. Oh, sit down. I'm actually going to do this with a sponge this time, because what I want to try and do is pick up the top layers of the texture. So I'm just going to take off some excess, and I'm going to dab it on ever so gently, trying to pick up the top layers rather than all over. So you might be able to see ever so slightly. So this is just a fast way of doing it. Don't mind if it's textured, because like I said, I'm going to layer up, but also it's a bit more realistic when things aren't really flat colour. Because obviously if you look at our skin, we're made of loads of little freckles and little pigments. So I'm going to do that in small layers. I'm going to put some on my table actually and pick it up off there. It's better off the palette kind of thing. This will obviously get thrown away after I've done this makeup. So it's instantly picking up the ridges rather than in the detail. It's doing the 3D painting for me. And then I can go in soon and go around it with a darker shade and the lighter shade, picking it up more, making it pop that little bit more. I have still got loads of paint left, guys, so what I'll do is I can cling film those up and I can use them on another occasion. Try not let them dry out, just so it's not wasted. So you could even stop there if you was happy with that level of detail and colouring. I just know where sometimes the sponge has gone over the detail I want. I like to go in and then darken up and go around and shape the texture and the detail basically. Just helps it pop that little bit more. So I'm happy with that at that level. So now I'm going to go in. Let me just make sure it's dry. Yeah, it's drying really quick, most of it, because I've done it in thin layers. So just make sure it is dry before you go in with a new layer, especially with a different product, because I'm going back to the alcohol airbrush now. And I'm going with Temp 2, and it's lost its label. So it's quite a, what colour would I call it? I khaki, I'd say. A khaki green. An olive dead kind of khaki green. Thing with these temp to airbrush products, alcohol based, you really need to give them a shake. It has got a little bit of the yellow in here already from me doing the lip area, so that will hopefully brighten up that little bit anyway. Make sure they're mixed together. Backwash it a little bit. So then now I am literally going on each individual kind of circle texture. I'll start from top so I don't forget where I'm going. So you can see it's just brought that out. I'm going to try and do a lot of different intensities so it's not all just one block colour. Some will be lighter and darker than others. It's kind of highlighting those areas. What will also be helpful is if you think of where the sunlight is hitting it, so whether you'd want to highlight the bottom or the top or the centre, that helps your pieces stick out a bit more professionally and a bit more freely. So yeah, if anyone's got any hints and tips on how to paint things better and do things better, please by all means share away. I do like to show off things I'm doing, but it doesn't mean I think that I'm the be all and end all, because I really don't. I know I ain't. But I just know some things sometimes help people, because I know videos and things definitely certainly help me. So obviously you could freehand all details, but I like to use airbrush. I'm not specifically an artist or painter or drawer, so airbrush, I don't know, but airbrush does come natural to me. I'm leaving the lips till near the last because I want them to be beautiful and red with no damages or anything on them. So this is it so far. So next stage is marsh. So this is, oh, looks dried out, which is not good, guys. This is not good. So I'm going to add some IPA in here to reactivate the bits that is dried up. But I'm just going to check if I have got another marsh. I don't think this is marsh. Some of my labels have come off the bottom. I actually got them on sale when they threw a few extra ones in because they'd lost the labels, which was really nice of the company. I brought it from them a few times. But it just doesn't help, so I don't know what that is. I think that's black, so I don't want to go in black. I wanted to go in with a dark khaki, like a dark marsh colour. This is called. It's like a oh, it looks black there, but it's green. It really has a dark green, so that's the colour I need. So I might mix a few together. I might add a bit of that green back in, a bit of the soft black in with what's left, and maybe even a bit of brown. What have we got here? We've got dirt. That label's come off, but I think it's dirt. So yeah, I'm going to kind of mix my own colour now and see what I get to try and contour this face. Yep, so by doing all that, I've managed to kind of get a dark khaki shade. I'm just hoping there's enough for what I need. Basically now I'm just going round the edges of everything, round the edges of what the scales are, in any contours, just to re-intensify any dark areas. see. Can you see now? See how like it's looking a lot more 3D and textured and bumpy compared to that side. It just needed that extra little bit of contrast. I'm going to just try and turn my airbrush down to try and save as much of this colour as I can. Worst case scenario, if I run out, I'm just going to end up having to use a soft black to browny shade instead. You can actually dilute Pax paint enough to put it in an airbrush, but I don't get on with acrylics and things in my airbrushes. They end up clogging, they end up blocking my airbrush, it's never the same again. I need more practice with that, but it would be really handy. And this is where it starts to come together now. Those final touches, I feel, just make such a difference. So that's it with all the darker shade. Luckily it actually lasted, I made enough just. So yeah. Time for the big red lips. Actually no, first I'm going to do the horns. So I'll get the horns painted. I might do an off-white colour, so it's not bright white, but more like a bone shade. And then I'm going to go in with the lips. So I'm going to go in with Pax paint for both. So I'll get a base of the off-white for the bone, and then I'll get a base of a red for the lips. So for the bone colour, I've got this, actually it's almost blended in with the spatula, you can't see, but it's the Shinto 2 from Mel Pax, pre-made Pax paint, and with a white acrylic, purely because I've run out of any lighter shades of the Max paint, my words, Mel Pax paints. And I'm actually going to go in with a thinner, more detailed kind of paintbrush. And I'm going in at the base with this shade. And then I'm actually going to go in with white at the tips, just to make it look like it goes from dark to light. This is almost the same shade as the foam. So that's with the horns painted, and I did go around the edges of the horns with a little bit of a soft black. No, was it soft black? Yeah, soft black by Temp 2 Jura. So it's nice contrast, and it's ready for the big red juicy lips now. So I've only got this acrylic red that I like. I've got a few other shades of acrylic, but one are dried up because obviously COVID, hardly anything's been used, and one's more like a fluorescent red. So this is the only red I've got, and it looks a bit pinky, so I'm not too happy about it, but I'm going to go in with some nice alcohol paints after anyway. So again, it's about that layering up. So I'm going to mix a bit of red with some prosthetic to get my Pax paint mix. So as you can see, that colour's really not a very good colour for this look. It needs to be really rich, bloody, deeper red. But that'll do for now. I'm just going to let that dry. and then I'm going to go in with airbrush paints and layer over. So on some of the pictures I can see it's quite fleshy all the way around the lips, so I'm going to blend it out as well. But yes, nearly done. So there was dark in the airbrush still from before because I didn't brush through acrylic it. So it's given this contour. I'm not mad at it. It's a happy little accident. And I'm going to layer up some red colour over it, and then hopefully it's going to keep that pouty look. So I'm just going to let that dry first. So I'm just going to use this blood tone to go around the lips to give it some contour around and help to blend any edges. Because on the picture she has got quite messy lips. So just whilst I'm waiting for the lips to sort themselves out and dry, I've also just cut a mouth hole in there, which I should have done first, so it's made it patchy now, so I'm going to have to go in and layer that up. But just while that's happening, I'm going to go in with some Perma Wet by Monster Makers, and I'm going to put it all over the face, and then when the lips are dry I'll put it on the lips as well, like probably a couple of layers on the lips, because I love the lips looking so glossy. They're only so glossy at the minute because they're wet. But as you can see, it goes with the look really well. So I'm going to be using some of this Perma Wet. Again, just to use my palette. Only use your table palette if it's clean. Like this is quite clean. I've worked quite fast today, so I've been able to get away with it. And I'm trying to find a brush I could use. So I've got a cheap Wilko kind of brush. And only do this if the prosthetic is fully dry, and it is, so nothing will smudge in at this stage. So I'm just making a thin layer all over the prosthetic, and it's basically helping set everything in place, but it's also going to leave a wet look. So the gremlins are obviously quite slimy and wet looking, so I wanted it to be wet rather than matte. And like I said, I'm going to try and make the lips really glossy afterwards. So that's with the Perma Wet on. Just gives a slight gloss to the skin, like you can see there. Just ignore the lips inside. That's going to be all darkened and fixed. You can see how ruined it made them, but I'll fix it. Just need it to dry first. I just wanted to show you from this angle of the camera how wet it's looking at the moment.